People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
What's up, North Carolina? This is Rob Yates, your friendly neighborhood communications director, saying hello to all you libertarians, liberty lovers, and everyone jumping in to listen. It's good to be back. I hope you missed me. We got a very special edition of Liberty Inc. today. We had some fantastic news in the Joshua Rohrer situation, and we got Josh to come on and talk about it, along with the venerable Spike Cohen and two of our favorite North Carolina Liberty warriors, Thomas Hill and Mike Ross. Before that, we have a quick video from our good buddy, Dr. Dan Eichenbaum, talking about his 3 rules and looking at why the country divides us. And then, as always, Dub and Groo talk sports, but this is a special one because it was shot in my bar, in my basement, and my lovely wife, Valerie, has joined. It is as ridiculous as you would expect. Throughout the Joshua discussion, I will incorporate some of the news report and some of the city council videos so we can sort of backtrack through. It is a little hard at some points, but we've come a long way and we should be happy. I appreciate everyone's help, and I know Joshua does too, as you will see, in getting involved. And we have not even gotten into, as we talked about in the interview, the Pastor Moses part of it. But lots going on in North Carolina. We have elections going right now. I'm running. We got a bunch of other people running. We have a case where CPS had a baby die in its custody and is denying all responsibility. We had 2 people prosecuted in Gastonia for letting their kids cross the street. That's not an exaggeration. We have Brian Turner, who has been essentially assaulted by the police for walking up his driveway, and then had the whole, all of Alamance County turn against him, and he's been trespassed from Alamance County property, excuse me. Just, we really need everyone to get involved. I hope you watch this. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it motivates you. But it is good to have you back. Remember, click like, subscribe, share this, do what you need to do, jump in. Communications@lpnc.org for all hate mail and other comments, or if you want to get involved, and enjoy the episode.
America is angrily divided. We have lost the ability to disagree without being hateful to each other. We have been purposefully divided into groups. We are no longer one national community dedicated to pursuing the true general welfare of all equally. Since the government cannot give you anything it does not first steal from someone else, benefits given to some must be taken from others. That creates anger and resentment. A nation divided against itself cannot stand. Saul Alinsky and the fascist elite know that. This is Dr. Dan. Want to live together in peace again? There are 3 rules. Live and let live. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And don't hurt anyone, and don't take their stuff.
With some breaking news we've just learned late tonight, we are learning a U.S. District Court will allow a formerly unhoused veteran suit to move forward against the city of Gastonia and 2 officers involved in his controversial arrest from back in 2021. Video of that arrest you see right now. The defendants, we're learning, were petitioning to have that case dismissed. In October 2021, officers Sierra Brooks and Maurice Taylor approached Joshua Rohrer and his service dog on the street. The police department said it received a complaint about a panhandler at the time, and Rohrer was charged with panhandling and resisting arrest. The charges were later dropped, and Rohrer later filed a suit saying city officials disparaged him online, and the stress of the arrest caused him to attempt suicide. Of course, we'll keep you updated as we learn more about the court proceedings here.
Hey everyone, so you just saw that footage, something we were very involved in. It's been going on for about 4 years now with some breaking changes, and I have brought some of the major players Thank you all very much for being with me. I want to start with Libertarian Vice Presidential Candidate, Chief Executive of You Are the Power, and all-around really good guy, Mr. Spike Cohen. How's it going today?
I'm doing great. Former Libertarian VP candidate. Just want to be
clear. Next, we have LPNC Governor candidate, LPNC Treasurer previously, pain in the ass activist for everyone in North Carolina, Mike Ross. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Rob. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. Next, we go to the soul of the Libertarian Party of North Carolina, and the only person I've ever seen threaten a city council with the wrath of God, and he's done it twice. Thomas Hill, how are you today?
Pretty good. You have to excuse me. I'm in the Arkansas sun. I'm on the way to Texas and Ron Paul's 90th birthday barbecue this weekend. So I hope the background noise is not too bad. It's a luxurious Love's truck stop I'm stopped at.
Oh, you're golden. And then lastly, we come to the man of the hour. And I was just saying when we were chatting before this, you look fantastic. Joshua Rohrer, how are you doing?
Under the circumstances, I guess the best that I can be, but I am hanging in there and pursuing this journey to justice.
So that's, well, so speaking journey of justice, is justice there? Do we have a chance to get
he is. Come here, Justice. Come here. Bring.
I'm a doggo person all the way. It's good to see her. When we were prepping for this on camera beforehand, everyone on here was like, where's justice? We got So Joshua, we are all here together because we got some big news this week, and you want to give a brief explanation of what happened?
Yeah, so the courts came back with a ruling that they allow my case to move forward, and they're suggesting that the officers lose their QI, their qualified immunity, and that they did use excessive force, and that what they did could be unlawful. And now I have a chance to prove that in court.
So that's obviously a major win, and that you get to have your case heard. One of the big things we were discussing before this, is the system rigged? That's a hard question to answer, but it is set up in such a way that if you don't have money and support, it can be very difficult to take advantages of the opportunities that are there. So someone that was on this from the very beginning, who alerted many of us to this, and who it probably launched your political career. But Mike, what does this news mean to you?
I mean, for me, it's huge because, you know, when I saw the video, I had no desire to be in politics. I saw something happen in my backyard and it pissed me off. You know, and it pissed me off because it was so blatantly horrific of a story. And this was before the body cam footage, before all of that. It was just something that I said, you know, does the city council even know about this? The news does, but the city council was quiet. So I just, you know, it started as just, let me go talk to them and ask them to look at the case. And then I got to know Joshua, got to hear his story. And I think the most, for me, what really made me, I guess, ride or die with this was when Joshua told me the story of what happened and gave me the details and said to me, because I asked him, I said, you know, I've heard a lot of these things, you know, sometimes people say the body, and he said, I promise you, we've seen the body cam footage. Everybody who saw it says that it's exactly what's there. And I said, all right, let's go get this body cam footage. And then, of course, you know, we had a couple of rallies with minimal support, and then called in the big guns of Spike Cohen, who, you know, made this a national story and caused millions of new people to see this. And I think that attention, the activists of LPNC who came up to do those rallies, I think that set in motion a much bigger picture. So while to this, you know, ultimately I want justice for Joshua, someone who was, in my eyes, criminally harmed by the government, and then protected by our tax dollars, you know, an immoral use of my tax dollars as a Gaston County taxpayer. So when I see that, and I saw this ruling not only about qualified immunity, but potential the Monell defense element, that's really hard to overcome. And it seems like they may even be willing to bend on the Monell element, which sorry if I'm getting into legal jargon that the average person doesn't see. But I read that most recent review, and I was probably the most optimistic I've been in the past 4 years. The judge gave a scathing rebuke of the city's attorney, basically calling them out on nonsense and saying that they need to argue on the substance of merits, not going down the route. And it was beautiful to see that. And I think big picture, and I don't know if it's because I'm an eternal optimist despite not really having faith in the system, but there's a couple of bigger picture issues that are affecting all Americans that I think that this story has a possibility to create real change to benefit regular people, not only in North Carolina, not only just for Joshua, but across the country. And I'm sure Spike knows even more about these, but I just want to touch on the North Carolina one specifically, since this is my state. We have backwards body cam laws. It took tens of thousands of dollars and months of political pressure to accomplish simply getting evidence of a crime committed by our government that the taxpayer paid for both the creation and retention of. It's completely backwards, and I've understood all of the pro-cop arguments and saying, well, what if we're protecting covered sources? It doesn't matter. If you have a legitimate reason to hide that, you take that before a judge and you argue, this is why we cannot release the body cam footage, instead of starting with we're not releasing any body cam footage and you're going to have to sink tens of $1,000s and countless hours of your time into getting this. So I think if we can see momentum there in potentially getting body cam laws changed in North Carolina, I think that that's a win for regular people, because if how many people from even just a small case of police misconduct will never get that, right? A lady gets pulled over by a cop who sexually harasses her. It's on camera, right? But good luck getting that if you don't have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 laying around. So it creates, in my eyes, more opportunity for potential justice for regular people who are not backed with a ton of resources, because we shouldn't have a legal system where your outcome is ultimately determined on how much money you can bring. And sadly, in North Carolina, if you're abused by police officers, that is reality. If you have money, you can get the evidence that you were harmed. And if you are poor or even middle class and don't have that kind of money for legal representation, you are going to get trampled over. And the government will use your money to fight against you. They will use lawyers to defend cops who commit crimes. And I think that if we can get that body cam law fixed in North Carolina, that would be a win for our state. And, as Spike will probably give much more info on, since he's got the pulse on kind of nationwide, I think this could be a catalyst to helping us break what I think is the biggest farce of the idea of equality under the law, and that's qualified immunity. You can't claim to have equality under the law when you specifically carve out a specific right for a specific group of people. You are by nature, if a cop can tase a service dog and get away with it, but if you or I tased that service dog, we would be in a cage. That is not equal justice. And I think qualified immunity, is getting attention, rightfully so, and hopefully we can get rid of that as an injustice.
We certainly see that all the time. Respect my authority. So in North Carolina, the body cam law is anyone who is image or voice is on body camera footage is allowed to see it, but it cannot be released to the public unless there's a court order, WCNC petition for one. And one of the most baffling things to me, the police argued that they couldn't release the video because Joshua couldn't get a fair trial.
Meantime, back here at home, another big story. Protesters in Gastonia once again pressing authorities to release body camera footage of a homeless veteran's arrest. Gastonia police arresting Joshua Rohrer back in October, and this sparked a community uproar with claims of police brutality.
WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman tells us how North Carolina laws are preventing the release of this footage.
Veteran Joshua Rohrer and his supporters have not given up on their request. Signs outside the Gaston County Courthouse reading, "Release the body cam footage."
I want that footage released because I want to clear my name too.
Rohrer wants police held accountable for what he calls an unfair arrest and filed a petition on July 15th for the video to be released.
Hopefully it's released this time and it's not denied by the judge because people need to see it.
Following Rohrer's arrest in October 2021, a media coalition led by WCNC Charlotte requested the footage, but was denied by a state superior court judge in December. The judge said the recording contained confidential information that could jeopardize safety in an investigation.
There's been a lot of barriers that we've hit, and with the judge denying the petition, I think that
this case right here should be the catalyst for change of that law.
North Carolina law allows people seen or heard in police body camera video to see the footage, but requires a court order for it to be made public. State lawmakers, including Senator Mujtaba Muhammad, filed a bill last year to make body cam footage more accessible, but it didn't get far. Muhammad tells WCNC, quote, "The timely and adequate release of body cam footage is in the public interest and ensures transparency, builds trust with law enforcement, and furthers public safety for all of us." WCNC Charlotte asked Gaston County District Attorney Travis Page if he supports releasing the video now that Rohrer's case has been resolved with a plea agreement, but we have not heard back. In Gastonia, Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
But as I'm going back through all this footage, prepping for this discussion, it's crazy how far we've come. And looking back at the beginning, like you want to talk about like a foundation on a house of cards, like we're grasping at straws. So Spike, you're the powers 4 years down the road. You've got a ton of wins, like real national support. You're doing things, but this is one of your first cases. You took a chance. Like what drove you to like accept the risk of this one?
I was willing to accept the risk for two reasons. First of all, what Mike said, Joshua wasn't just saying this is what happened. He was saying and others were saying we've seen the body cam footage and it completely backs up what Joshua is claiming and shows that what Taylor and Brooks, the officers that did this to him, were claiming, that they're lying, that Joshua was trying to comply. He was only asking them questions and at times asserting his rights as well, but in a complying manner. He was not disobeying anything they were saying to do. He was trying to give them his ID and they simply wouldn't take it. It was while he was giving them his ID that they began to assault him, that he was wrongfully arrested. He did none of the things he was being charged with, and that they lied when they said that Sunshine was attacking or biting any of them, and they tased her for absolutely no reason. And that they attempted to just assault, wrongfully arrest, and railroad him because it seems like they wanted to, or whatever reason they did so. Ultimately, that's what happened. And so the second reason why we were willing to take a chance on it is, starting off, we said, here is what Joshua said happened. He wants the body cam footage released. Here's what the police said happened. They're fighting tooth and nail to keep the body cam footage from being released. Let's get the body cam footage released so we can see what actually happened here. And so we said, we didn't shy away from saying we thought Joshua was telling the truth and the police were lying, but we said, hey, listen, whatever happened, let's see the body cam footage. And it also helped to highlight, like Mike was talking about, the absurdity of body cam footage release laws in North Carolina. There's absolutely no reason that if the subject of that body cam says, I want this released, there's no reason not to release it. If there's an issue of the privacy of any of the people that are on it, they can say, hey, I would like my audio and my face blurred and my audio obfuscated so that you can't, obscured so you can't tell that it's me. Okay, fine. That can be easily done with today's technology in literally seconds. So there's a way to deal with any of the privacy concerns that anyone on it might have, while still fulfilling the fact that if the person who is the subject of it says that they want to have it released, then it gets released. And if there's some special reason that the state thinks that it shouldn't be released, let the presumption be on release. Let them have to fight it, and ultimately let them have to fight for specific portions that they're saying aren't relevant. But ultimately, I think it should come down to if the person who's the subject of it wants it released, it should be released. And so that was the reason we were willing to take it on just initially. Obviously, once that body cam footage was released, it showed that it was worse than Joshua had even described it. Like, not only had they lied to, not only had they, wrongfully arrested and assaulted him.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing all right, sir.
Just out with him. I told him he couldn't be on the median.
Yeah, and that's why I was packing my stuff up.
Walk out to a car to get money.
Yeah, I saw him at Circle K the other day with a car.
Yeah.
So now he's refusing to give me his ID because I'm going to write him for violating the city
She's trying to write me a ticket because I was walking up this, packing up. She told me to pack up, and I was literally...
Body camera footage showing the controversial arrest of homeless veteran Joshua Rohrer. It's now public. This comes after months of petitioning the courts to have it released. WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman joining us live outside the Gastonia Police Department, which posted those videos this morning. So, Julia, what are the big takeaways from this footage?
Right. Well, first off, Vanessa, people protested for months to see this footage. Now it's finally here. In this video, we see viewpoints from multiple Gastonia police officers, including former Officer Maurice Taylor and Officer Sierra Brooks. Now, we want to warn you, some may find this video disturbing, but we're sharing it because so many people want to see for themselves what happened that day.
Somebody help me! Hey, what are you doing?
On October 13th, officers Maurice Taylor and Sierra Brooks arrest Josh Rohrer for panhandling on Cox Road. In the chaotic moments, Taylor deploys a stun gun on Rohrer's service dog, Sunshine Ray, saying the dog bit him in the foot.
Call your dog off!
Rohrer is still grappling with what happened that day 9 months later.
I'll never forget it.
He blames the officers for Sunshine's death. She ran away from the scene and, while under temporary care, got away and was hit by a car.
They could have prevented Sunshine from running away. They could have not separated her from me.
Rohrer was arrested for illegally panhandling and resisting arrest, but those charges were dropped in July, and Rohrer pleaded guilty to an unrelated lesser charge. The Gastonia Police Department released a statement with the body cam footage, saying in part, the city is pleased that the resolution of Mr. Rohrer's charges includes his participation in Catawba County's Veteran Treatment Court, where he can receive services specifically tailored to his needs. It added that the department conducted a review of the incident. Rohrer hopes the videos are the catalyst to creating better training for police on how to approach people with disabilities and service animals.
It's just mind-boggling that the whole way it was handled.
Rohrer now has a new dog named Justice that he's training to help him manage his PTSD. Officer Taylor resigned in February, and Officer Brooks is still with the department. Live in Gastonia, Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
Not only did they tase Sunshine for absolutely no reason, police began threatening witnesses that were there, saying, hey, they did the wrong thing. And you can hear the cops saying, hey, you can get arrested next. If I forget the exact wording, but basically saying, we'll arrest you if you don't walk away.
Yep.
They were intimidating witnesses. They lied to Joshua and said they had Sunshine when they didn't have her, that they had no idea where she was, but they lied to him about it, which among all the things was the least of it. But ultimately, we saw that it was actually worse than he remembered. And it was after we released that the real momentum happened. And we already had a pretty good movement going there. But once we released that footage, and we recently re-released it for, those who aren't as familiar with the case, so they could see what it is we were fighting over. That was when it really started to drop. That's when that plea agreement that was no such thing, where they basically dropped all the charges against Joshua. That's when that happened. That's when we really start to see the momentum shift. But I was willing to make that initial, I guess, quote unquote, gamble, because first of all, one side was saying, I'd just like to see it released so that they can see I'm telling the truth. The other side's going, no, we're telling the truth. It cannot be released. We will fight in court tooth and nail to keep it from being released. I don't know. Who do you think's lying here?
Yeah. Well, so Spike, let me follow up with you then. Basically, the same question I asked Mike. Remembering back, and I'm watching all the old city council where we're speaking, all the old news footage, and looking how far we've come. What does this ruling this week mean to you?
Well, it's a huge, first and foremost, we have been calling for justice for Joshua and Sunshine. And at You Are the Power, we start with the people that are harmed, right? Like, yes, it is about also the policies that lead for that to happen and the changes that need to be made to make sure that nothing ever happens like this ever happens to someone like Joshua or Sunshine ever again. And that if and when things like this happen, people are immediately held accountable for what they did. Ultimately, we get involved in it first and foremost for the people that have already been affected by this. So first and foremost, the fact that this case is able to go forward means that there's an action, like Joshua just said, he'll be able to actually state his case in court based on the merits. And they have, at least in this case, set aside qualified immunity. For those who don't, just a brief primer on what qualified immunity is. Qualified immunity is a doctrine that was created in the courts that essentially says that if a government employee, so this can be a police officer, this can be just a bureaucrat or agent working in an agency for basically any government worker, is caught and it is established that they broke the law and violated someone's constitutional rights. So this is not, I'm a firefighter was fighting a fire and he had to break windows and he hurt someone when he was pulling him out of the fire. That's all done in the scope of work. That has nothing to do with qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is when it is established that someone who works for the government, including police officers, have broken the law and violated someone's constitutional rights, and then they get to do something that literally no one else can do. No, or no one else that doesn't have, the rest of us can't do this. They can say, well, it hasn't been ruled in this jurisdiction that this exact specific example of abuse violates the law. Therefore, I couldn't have possibly known that it was wrong for me to wrongfully arrest someone and abuse them and tase their service dog or whatever else. It's absurd. It makes no sense whatsoever. And the consequence of that is that these officers individually are never actually held accountable. So if we can have more cases like this, and if Joshua's case, when it succeeds, there will be a ripple effect where police officers will now know, and anyone who works for government will now know, there's a good chance if I break the law and violate someone's rights that I personally will be held accountable. It won't just be the city and the police department having to pay out, taxpayer-funded settlements for this person. I'll lose everything. And what's going to happen there is they're going to demand some kind of liability protection. That's going to come in the form of insurance. And what's going to happen with that insurance is that if I'm an officer that has a good history, right? I don't really have any complaints. The ones I have were minor or they were decided in my favor. I've been a good cop, okay? It's going to be relatively affordable to insure me. If I have a case like Joshua's against me and it was established that I wrongfully arrested someone or I assaulted someone or, God forbid, I even killed someone and it was done in a wrongful way, they won't insure me. They wouldn't be able to insure me for $1 million a year. The premiums would be way too high. So a really, really bad cop will be uninsurable. And a kind of bad cop will be unaffordable to insure. So most police departments, probably all police departments will say, we're not paying those premiums. There's no way we're paying that when we can get someone for 1/10 of that cost or 100th of that cost. So the removal of liability protection for these individuals, these officers and government workers, will do what removing liability protection does in anything else. It holds them accountable, and it actually puts in the controls that lead to the people that do these jobs having to actually do a good job at it. And it actually also protects the good cops and the good government workers, the people that are trying to do the right thing, who, when they try to call out bad actors around them, they're the ones who get punished. Now it puts the momentum on people doing things the right way. So in every way, this is a good thing. And if nothing else, you had federal judges who straight up told the city, enough of this. Your excuses are nonsense, and there's at least enough merit to this case to proceed forward. That alone should be vindicating for Joshua and everyone involved. You had a federal court saying, yeah, there's something here. He needs to be able to move forward on it. So across the board, it's been a great thing.
So, and I think you get into some really important stuff about ramifications of this. Gastonia police remain off the chain. They just convicted a couple for letting their kids cross the street, and I'm not exaggerating that. Thomas and I have been on a couple things with CPS in Person County, North Carolina. A baby died in CPS care, a 1-year-old, and of course it's not their fault. There's another one, Brian Turner was arrested for walking, and then the city council trespassed him from all public property, so he can't go to parks to watch his kids. They get crazy, but that's the systemic level. And I think that we have learned to fight the systemic level because that's how you get progress. And we fail to communicate some of the stuff we observe, which is the individual and emotional level. So actually, Joshua, and then I want to follow up with Thomas, but can you talk a little bit sort of about opposed to the whole systemic and the actual fight and the technicalities of it, I don't want to forget like the human side, the person side, and the emotional journey. And it's been a wild 5 years for you, but just like looking back on, 4 years. Okay, that's fair, right? And in 2021, I'm bad at math. But talk about sort of the emotional journey you've been through then being able to have some support and people telling you you're not crazy and we got your back, and then kind of where you are now.
It's been a roller coaster, and continues to be. Obviously, as everybody saw on the body cam footage, it was very emotional and traumatic when it happened. And it's pretty much been the same since because of how they responded and how they treated me. Like you said, people make me think that I was crazy, when it was right there for everybody to see all along. And it was very emotional to see the outpouring of love that I got from a lot of people in the community. It was also very upsetting to see the outpouring of hate that I got from a lot of people as well. So it's really been tough. But once everybody gave me a voice and that footage was released, it was a big victory then, but this is a bigger victory now because now I have the courts, 2 federal judges, saying that what they did, they basically said that my case can move forward. So that's all I've cared about for the last almost 4 years now. The 4-year anniversary is coming up on October 13th. And that'll be 4 years ago that it happened. And October 16th is when Sunshine was killed. And I'll never recover from this, honestly. I mean, no amount of sorries or getting another service dog or anything will ever change that. But I just hope that me sharing my story and doing this will keep it from happening to somebody else. But I just can't even put into words the emotions and stuff like that I've been through.
I can't imagine. And I said at the beginning, like, you look fantastic, but we saw you were definitely, you were down in the dumps, let's say, for a while. And well, so that's Thomas. It's good to see you're back. You're very much a person to person, heart and soul. We fought a lot of losing battles, but you lose battles, you keep winning the war. What motivated you to stay involved?
You just had to meet Joshua, and I just want to say we'd be remiss not to mention the chair of the party at the time, Joe Garcia.
2060 White Cedar Lane, Waxhaw, North Carolina, retired NYPD police detective. I'm going to continue reading the petition from where Mr. Ross left off. Being well aware that petitioner was a disabled veteran and in need of service dog, as reflected by Officer Taylor's previous interaction with the petitioner, as well as demonstrated specific comments made by both officers in the body camera recordings, Officer Brooks deliberately escalated the situation and preyed on the petitioner's disability by taunting the petitioner that the officers would take the petitioner's service dog, i.e., quote, "You're going to jail and we're going to call animal control on your dog." With both officers still being well aware that there was no basis to detain, much less arrest, the petitioner, Officer Taylor, in a series of highly revealing statements, shifted his attention from the unsupportable claims that the petitioner was panhandling to Officer Taylor's anger that the woman discussed above had prevented him from arresting petitioner several days earlier. As he expressed his disdain for the woman's interference, Officer Taylor manufactured yet another attempted basis to arrest the petitioner, i.e., that Officer Taylor had instructed the petitioner not to stand idly on public property during their interaction several days earlier, which was not a crime. At that point, Officer Taylor asked the petitioner's identification, and despite the petitioner reiterating that he had done nothing wrong, the petitioner removed his military ID from his wallet and slowly extended his hand toward Officer Taylor to comply with his demand. With no explanation, Officer Taylor refused the petitioner's valid military ID and demanded that the petitioner produce a valid state ID, with which the petitioner, a homeless individual, does not and is not required to own. With the petitioner's arm still extended with his military ID projecting from his fingers towards Officer Taylor, with no warning whatsoever, grabbed the petitioner's arm and slammed him on the hood of the police car. When this occurred, Sunshine was sitting in her bed approximately 10 feet from the petitioner, Officer Taylor, and Officer Brooks. However, based on the amount of force used, in addition to the officer's deliberate and unnecessary use of extremely painful submission tactic on the petitioner's arms, the petitioner yelled, "Somebody help me," quote, "somebody help me," end quote. Sensing panic, Sunshine moved towards the petitioner, jumped on the hood of the police car, and began licking the petitioner's face.
Because it was through him, through social media, that I got involved first. And Joe was all through the process, a core member of the team, and we love Joe. He's a brother.
He was the person who came with me to the very first meeting. The first time we brought it to city council, my wife was busy and Joe drove, I think, an hour just to come with me because I didn't want to talk before city council by myself. So.
And he did a lot of he and Mike did a lot of the initial lead work for You Are the Power to just keep us in the loop with what was happening after we had put out that initial story. And our continued involvement directly, and obviously once Thomas got involved and then once Brandon Deal got involved later, but initially it was Mike and Joe that were kind of the lead people giving us the information for You Are the Power so we could stay involved until we could have more boots on the ground there. So absolutely, big shout out to Joe since he's not here.
Well, Mike, you actually raised a good point. So, and like Joshua said, 4 years, it's been 4 years. We've learned a lot, obviously, in those 4 years too, and you've had success, a lot of success. What's the strategy? Like when you're going into this, what is your goal and how are you trying to achieve it?
Not doing what libertarians usually do. So usually what we do is we talk about the principle, because that's what matters to us. We care about people. We're not robots, but we care about the principle. We care about what's right and not just right from a moral standpoint, but what's like correct, like what makes the most sense. And so then we tell people about that. And somewhere along the way, we might talk about the consequences of how this affects people. Most people don't think that way. Most people see a person and they think of a person. We see a person and we see the person, but we're also creating an abstraction. So if we see a disaster happen, if we see something like what happened to Joshua Rohrer, we go, "Oh my gosh, that's terrible." Qualified immunity, unaccountable policing, a backwards body cam footage law. We immediately go to the thing that allowed it to happen, right? Other people see Joshua Rohrer and they have an emotional human reaction. They either go, "Oh, that's terrible what happened to Joshua and to Sunshine, and how can I help? There's got to be something I can do. What can I do to get involved?" Or you'll have people that look at it and go, "I support the police, and I'm sure they did the right thing, and we haven't even seen the footage yet. Why are we?" But they don't think policy, they don't think principle, they think person. They're identifying with Joshua. Many of them were identifying with Sunshine, and they're identified with the police. They identify with a person or persons that are involved in it. And so then we show up and talk about principles, and everyone looks at us and goes, "What are you talking about? I'm talking about people here." And it's why it is probably our biggest single hindrance in reaching everyone else, is that we are in a very small group of people who lead on ideas. We engage primarily with ideas. Everyone else engages primarily with people. What we do at You Are the Power is we start with people, we continue with people, and then as we're doing that, we work in the ideas. And to whatever degree any person is ever going to intellectually engage with an idea, which unfortunately the vast majority of people will do little to no engagement of an actual idea, like a principle, at any point in their natural lives, whatever they call themselves, that's just some ad hoc thing that they heard someone else say, so they say it too. So we lead with getting people involved in helping people and showing them that there are people that are doing it to them, and we can contact them and tell them to do the right thing, and then giving them giving them more updates on that, giving them more things they can do to help with that, and then showing them other causes of other people who need their help. And all along the way, we're showing them our libertarian ideas. And what happens is either at some point they adopt our principles to some degree. Some of them never adopt our principles, but I know people who will never intellectually engage with libertarianism in any, and when I say libertarian, a little bit of a backstep here. You Are the Power is a nonpartisan organization. When I say libertarian, I'm talking about the idea, not necessarily the party. We work with everyone. We work with libertarians, Republicans, Democrats, independents, everything else. So I'm talking the idea libertarianism, the national, the non-aggression principle, the principle of human respect, like the ideas behind libertarianism. I know people who will never truly engage with those ideas in any real way. That's just not how they think. And yet, on a day-to-day basis, they do more through You Are the Power to spread libertarianism than the vast majority of libertarians who do very little to actually spread it and just have adopted an idea. Maybe occasionally they argue about it online, but they don't actually do anything to spread it. So we can get people to spread it to whatever degree that they actually embody the idea.
So I think you actually make one of the most critical points that we as libertarians, people in the party, and humans can understand, and it is that human element and the willingness of people to also feel bad for a minute and then kind of walk away. And this requires perseverance. So first, let me ask Mike and Thomas, because I'm going back, I'm watching all this old footage, and y'all showed up for every meeting. Court cases, like there you are.
Yeah.
Like, tell the people listening, like, why does that matter?
Well, I mean, one, you know, I'm Spike kind of touched on this, but I'm not running for office, so I'll say what I'll say that the reality is a lot of us libertarians are very autistic about principles.
Hold on.
Myself included.
The term is neuro-libertarian, okay? It's not, we don't use the A word.
I can only speak for myself, and
okay,
you know, I've actually, but I'm an autistic libertarian. So, you know, when I saw that, you know, and maybe it was just that I'm an optimist, but you know, I kind of thought, you know, the news had this thing going on. I thought that if a citizen went and talked to the city council, that they would at least like acknowledge it or look into it. And it was like super naive. Again, I was like not really involved in politics at the time. I just saw something like, dude, I mean, that shopping center where it happened, Joshua, like, I didn't know you, but I've driven past you and waved at you so many times through that. And, you know, it's busy. You can't always, but when it happened, I'm like, man, I not only know where this is, like, I know this guy that they're talking about. I've never spoken to him before, but, you know, I've had some people who are, you know, we'll just say it happens. You pull up, they're banging on your window and aggressively panhandling. And what I can say with certainty, before I ever met you, that is not what you were doing, ever, ever. Like, I've driven past you numerous times. You smile, you wave. I've never seen you. So when they said that, and the whole narrative that they were pushing out there, to me, it was just my autism kicking in, where I'm like, I know I'm right, and I don't care if, you know, it's like that meme that's there, where it has like, you know, thousands of people on one side and then like one guy there who's like, I don't care, you're all wrong and I'm right. And I was at that point, and, you know, I feel vindicated because the body cam showed not only everything that Joshua said it would say, but, you know, as Spike touched on, worse, right? You know, when you see the things that Joshua said, all of that was right. But then you see the stuff that Joshua couldn't have known about, where the cops were threatening witnesses. Hey, if you don't go away, we're going to arrest you. Oh, you didn't see anything. You don't know what you're like. To see all of those things happen on top of it, where we not only saw the abuse and the assault, but we saw the earliest stages of the cover up, y'all. Like the people are missing that, and people are missing all, you know, if you haven't followed this case really closely, you don't see all of the ways that the government tried to put as many roadblocks as possible. I remember sitting in a courtroom watching the city attorney read Thomas Hill's comments and say, and try to turn that into, you know, look at these violent supporters who are here. We can't. When I saw that, and I had so much confidence that the body cam footage was going to show that, I think it became a, what would walking away now do? Right? Like, what would walking away now? So until that body cam came out, I was in the fight. And you know, if it would have came out and proved Joshua a liar, I probably would have had egg on my face, and Joshua, we might have had a chat afterwards, and I'd asked you why you lied to me. But it didn't. It not only vindicated every word Joshua said, but it showed North Carolina and the country, I think, the means that everyday police departments will go to protect the system itself. And I think that that's the problem is, the inherent nature of these systems. They become self-protecting. Where I truly think if you take all titles, all authority, if you just take an objective human being and you show them what happened in that body camera footage and you ask them who was in the wrong. Again, I haven't done any scientific studies. This is not peer-reviewed. I'm not a researcher, but I bet the majority of people could look at that, regardless of any ideology, and say, you know what? Cops are wrong on this one. They smeared me as anti-cop for the longest, like outside of my personal, like in my personal life. I have cops who are friends. There's actually a Gaston County police officer who just saved a 1-year-old baby who's a buddy of mine, like got called out there. And I have no problem with good cops. I have problems with people running around with a gun and a badge, thinking that they have ultimate authority and refusing to respect basic foundational God-given rights that we as free Americans should have. We're talking about someone who was not harming anybody, who had what I view, especially as someone who's worked in homeless communities, what I think when Joshua tried to argue that his ID was invalid, right? He gave his veteran ID from the start because he had a valid ID. The cops didn't like that and said, I want your North Carolina ID. I think Joshua had something that the average person probably can't relate to, but if you spend 2 minutes in the shoes of someone who's been dealing with housing insecurity and being forced into that lifestyle, he had an invalid ID. And I can tell you from the amount of homeless people that the city of Gastonia arrests, he was probably afraid that if he showed them an ID that was invalid because the date was off, that now they're going to arrest him for not having a valid ID. So he's sitting there like arguing, hey, I got my ID, but it's not valid. And rather than having a human interaction where you could say, hey, man, I get it, right? Like, can I just look at it to make sure that it has your name, your date of birth, these things here? I'm not going to throw you in a cage because it has the wrong address. Or like, if Taylor would have acted like a human being instead of someone who, in my opinion, let me separate this here. This is my opinion, not Joshua's, not Spike's, not anybody else. But in my opinion, I think we had someone who was following orders that came from higher up where they said, look, our businesses in the downtown area outside, we don't like seeing homeless people here. We're getting calls. So I think he was given an order, hey, we need to get the homeless people out of this area. And rather than being a human being, talking to a fellow veteran that he knew was a fellow veteran, right? Like he knew from a few days ago that this is not a violent person. This is not someone who's harassing people. He's not bringing criminality here. For him to escalate at that level just to me shows some of the systemic problems where these, I hate to say it because there's some good law enforcement officers out there, but these essentially policy enforcers will put these things in place and completely ignore the human element, regardless of what your job is, regardless of what objective or task you're trying to complete. When I look at that interaction, there were so many more human ways that Taylor could have interacted. And part of me, as a taxpayer in Gaston County, if and when the settlement comes, which hopefully makes it so that you don't have to worry about those things anymore, Joshua, I will firmly say, as even as a an ANCAP who doesn't even think the state should exist, to me that'll be the best use of my tax dollars to truly bring justice to you, and I will not feel one penny, one inch of sadness about that. Many of the other things they waste money on in this county, I'm quite upset about. But I would like them to do the right thing. I'm happy to pay for that with my tax dollars, but I do hope that we can get some policy changes in force so that the police departments themselves or someone other than the taxpayer has to foot that bill. And ultimately, I just hope we can bring some more humanity into all of our interactions. Forget just law enforcement and citizens. I think whether it's the internet, technology, whatever it may be, I feel like so many of our interactions kind of lose that human touch where if you just approach it as, hey, we're just two individuals. It just seems like there's this need to escalate to violence in society that, as a libertarian, bugs me the wrong way. And hopefully, hopefully we finally see some real end to this. I've been as optimistic as I've ever been, Joshua, and I just want to say, hang in there, brother. We're not going anywhere. We're praying every day, and I just want you to know, brother, I love you, and we're not going anywhere. And I promise, right now things are turning on the civil side, but don't think that I or anybody else who's been a part of this has forgotten 1 inch about what Maurice Taylor and Sierra Brooks did to you. I promise you there is an army, millions strong in this country, that is demanding accountability, that someone who would do that, escalate to violence, violate your rights, send you to the hospital, remove your medical device, and quite frankly, family from, I promise you, we are not going to be quiet. Accountability is something we are going to continue to push for, brother. And anybody who's watching this podcast, this is a win. We've had a couple of wins, a lot of setbacks. Getting the body camera was a win. This ruling was a win. And from my lips to God's ears, when Sierra Brooks and Maurice Taylor III are no longer able to hold a badge and gun anywhere in this country, I can only hope and pray that God sees that as the right justice, because I think that that's a necessary step.
And Thomas, you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, it was both chilling and kind of funny to hear my Facebook post as Exhibit A to not release the footage. But I knew then in the back of my mind, this is almost like a cartoon or something. They don't have a case at all. So I'm relieved that my post didn't affect the judge's decision. And I was amazed at his decision. I wasn't surprised, but I didn't have a lot of faith going in, because you never know how the system's going to work or not work. So, but it is a vindication, or validation, I should say, not vindication. I'm sorry. Like Mike said, of the faith we had in Joshua. But the first time I met him, I felt in my gut that this was a legitimate person. And Joshua, I'll echo what Mike said. I love you. We all love you, and we're in it to win it. And I said almost 4 years ago that this is the hill that I choose to die on, if necessary, and that still stands. But I don't think that's going to be necessary, brother. I think that things are lining up, and we're just going to follow through and not stop until we can get as much justice as possible. We can't make you whole, brother, but we can. We'll just do the best that we can possibly do. That's all we can do.
So sticking with this idea of the human element, the human cost, if you're watching this, I want you to know you matter, and not in some existential way, but showing up makes a difference. So Joshua, going along with this idea of the support, that first 7-8 months up until when the body camera footage was released, you have no idea what's going on. Everything's in limbo. You're showing up for each city council meeting. What difference does it make to you to have people there who have your back?
All the difference in the world. I wouldn't be standing here right now without all the support. Just wouldn't be possible. Everybody has given me a voice, and I appreciate everybody giving me a voice and being so passionate about this, and realizing that what they did was wrong. And it just means everything to me to be here with the support and this voice so that I can help others. That's why I continue to share it, because I want to make a difference and hopefully have some case law on this as well, to impact other people and make ripples across the nation, like Spike said.
Well, and so Spike, on a larger scale, you see it from the other end, and you have people getting involved. How much does it matter to have people get involved?
It's what allows this to happen. There's a certain level of effect that you can have from creating something that and get, well, even that, I was going to say there's a certain level of effect that you can get just from creating a viral video that gets people's attention. But what is that? It's not the viral video that did anything, right? It's not that I made this video and it went on the internet. That's not what actually made it powerful and got people to get involved. It's that people got involved with it. It was maybe the vehicle to get people to get involved, But ultimately, if everyone had looked at it and gone, or even looked at it and gone, oh, that's terrible. Anyway, and went back to doing whatever they were doing, then nothing would have happened, right? Or at the very least, we wouldn't have been able to help in any real way. The reason I call my organization "You Are the Power" is because we very often get caught up in this this idea of government power, which is an entirely illusory thing. There isn't any such thing as government power, right? Like when we were at the city council meeting, they weren't able to hurl the power of government at us and make us go away, right? Like it's not this like supernatural force they have. The power they have is the level of compliance and agency that other people give them. They're actually just people. They're people in fancy buildings. Sometimes the buildings aren't even that fancy. They're in buildings and they're sitting in chairs that are just for them, and they have their little name badge things, the little name placard things on their dais, and they go, I am the mayor, I'm the city councilman, I'm the judge, I'm the whatever. They're people. And whatever power they have is the level of agency and deference that all of us give. If a sizable minority, and I don't mean like 30% or 40%, if like 3 to 5% of people say, no, not this, no, you can't do this, that's enough for it to become either entirely unenforceable or so hard to enforce that they usually just back off. We've seen this we saw it with mask mandates. We've seen it with so many things where if a small enough minority of people go, no, I'm not doing that, then they effectively lose the ability to be able to try to enforce that. The way that applies here is if you have a large enough group of people, if you have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people online, and even a few dozen people in person who show up. I think at one of our rallies, we had over 100 people or 150 people or something like that. And that's very impressive for, a city council meeting. It's 150 people.
Yeah.
It wasn't 10% of the population. I don't think it was 1% of the population. It was a fraction of a percent of the population, but they're the only ones who showed up and said, and every single one of them said, this is wrong, do the right thing, back off and do the right thing. In this case, it was, push for accountability for the officers that did this to Joshua and to Sunshine, release the body cam footage. It was a consistent thing. And it was from people showing up and saying it. One of the biggest lies that government wants us, the people that are in government want us to believe, is that the government has power and there's nothing, it's a Leviathan entity, and the only thing we can do is vote every couple years, 4 years, whatever, and maybe we can decide who's in charge of that government, but other than that, all we can do is just go along with what they say, and that's just patently false. We can actually show up in numbers online and in person and say, no, you do the right thing. And it works. Again, You Are the Power has had in our entire history since we were first founded, we have had a roughly 90% success rate, just over 90%. In the last 2 years, we've had a 100% success rate. We're winning after win after win after win. And now we're taking on statewide cases. So where we started local and we're still doing a lot of local stuff, we're now taking on statewide cases. We've gotten legislation passed in states where we went to the state that was the most of a problem and got legislation passed that needed to be made to get government's claws out of people's backs. And it works. You get enough people together, you are consistent and persistent. You are not just attacking them and viscerally telling them how angry you are, but you're telling them you were wrong for doing this. You should do this instead. And if enough people show up online and in person and demand it, it happens.
So I want to be cognizant of time, just a little bit less like I want to touch on. So Mike, specifically, you've been very active in your hyper-local politics. You've run for governor of the state. When I look at this case, one thing that always struck out to me is Officer Taylor was also a veteran. And I don't know if he ever acknowledged having PTSD, but I'd seen some other stuff going on around about that. How much do wins like this drive changes to the system where he could have been a very good person and with a little mental health support and additional training, maybe we're not in this situation? How much does this force local change?
That touches on, again, just my autism and the way I approach things, because I struggled with this really on, and I don't want to defend Taylor because what he did that day was completely undefendable. I mean, you watch the body cam footage. I watched the body cam footage. We rallied for it, and we're here fighting for it years later. But a couple years before this happened, Taylor was involved in another shoot where he shot another human. And one of the things there that I looked at was going back and, when this blew up, I went and did my thing and looking into these officers and doing all my digging and research. And I went back and I watched that shoot that happened at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Gastonia a couple years before that. And I always try to be honest, about how I would approach. So I said, I kind of said, okay, I'm in these shoes. I've got a gun and a badge. I'm being sent to this situation. And I have to ask myself, because I think it's the only real honest way I can evaluate something, is what would I have done in that situation? And I look at that situation where Taylor shot a human being, and I have to say, as a gun owner and Second Amendment believer, I would have shot too. Which is, it's hard to say where you look at this villain, right? Because I see what he did to Joshua and it's a villain. But I found it was important for me to put myself in those shoes in that state and time. And what I don't know, right? Because I have not been thoroughly involved in investigating Gastonia Police Department policies and procedures. But what I do know is from talking to family members who have, seen combat overseas, is that when you shoot a human being, that's not something that just stops. Whether they live or die, that's not something that just stops. And I have no idea what the Gastonia Police Department's procedures are, what kind of help they might have given that officer, if that interaction helps desensitize him to the public in general. I just see all types of things there where I think not only is our law enforcement system failing society and the community and individuals like Joshua, but I think it's failing a lot of our officers too, where they go out there and it's not like they go out to get that job of saying, I'm going to go out there and terrorize the public. I've met enough good officers to know that they're like, hey, I want to provide safety and protection in my community. I want it to be a nice place, but there are some bad apples. That's the reality. And I wonder if the trauma of maybe what the job entails, paired with maybe insufficient mental health care, I wonder if that becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, where you put someone in here and they're trying to do the right thing. Maybe he was a good cop back then. Again, I watched the shoot. It seemed like he tried to de-escalate. It seemed like he tried to talk that guy down. But, someone points a pistol at you, it's them or you at that point, period. Someone points a gun at me, I'm going to shoot. Sorry. I don't know what his treatment was, but when I looked side by side, his interaction with Joshua, someone who was unarmed, not a threat, not doing anything to anybody, versus his reaction just 2 years earlier on body cam footage that I revealed, I feel like something happened with his ability to interact with the public. Whether that's the cause of the catalyst, I'm just speculating, but I look at his behavior in that one, where here he had a call to a place where a person is in a public place, right? A Buffalo Wild Wings, it's with a firearm, and he approached that, and the officer Taylor that I saw in that video, that ultimately ended with him shooting somebody, but his demeanor, his attitude, his approach, something changed from that in 2019 to the video I saw there. And I can't say the cause, I can only speculate, but I do think that if we're going to ask human beings, individuals, because Spike is right, at the end of the day, that's all any of us are. And regardless of the gun, the badge, the robe, whatever government title we have, we are all humans. And I think that if we can find out what seemed to dehumanize Officer Taylor there, maybe we'd be able to potentially diagnose what the Gastonia Police Department could do better. I don't know if they failed Officer Taylor after he had to shoot someone and he didn't get that. I don't know. I'm speculating out loud here, but I do know that he is the villain based on what I saw there. And there's no way I can look at that. And as bad as I feel for him about that situation where he had to shoot another human being, I almost don't care whether they failed him with a support. Like, nothing justifies what he did to Joshua. But I think that that's something there. I mean, if you're going to ask someone to potentially go out there and kill another person on behalf of the government of the community, I think you need to take care of those cops the same way and make sure that they are ready to go back out into the public and not let the trauma cause them to create more trauma in the community, right? Like I get if there's enough trauma that you're forced to do something there, maybe you just retire. But we can't have trauma inflicting officers only for them to go put that trauma out on society, or that's a really nasty downward spiral that ultimately leads to all of the worst things that people say anarchy would lead to.
Well, so following up on that, Thomas, something you talk about all the time, oath breakers, law enforcement versus peace officers. How do you see, and like using this case as a lens, but how does the system incentivize oath breaking law enforcement versus peace officers?
Well, I don't know if it's a symptom or the cause or what, but here in North Carolina, there's zero whistleblower protection for law enforcement that hold their brothers and sisters accountable. And let me just say, as a civilian and with the thin blue line, I'll stay in my lane. I have respect for anybody that runs towards danger and puts their life on the line for a perfect stranger. But those people that follow the Constitution, follow the law, are only endangered when the oath breakers are not held accountable. That causes more resistance from the community, rightfully so. But unfortunately, some people just see the badge and they want to paint everybody as the enemy. And I'm not anti-law enforcement. Some of the people I care about most in this world are employed in law enforcement one way or the other. I pray for their safety. I pray for everyone's safety. Everybody's life is important. But when we give a certain class of people privileges that the average Joe doesn't have, and then they're not held to account when they break the laws they're supposed to enforce, that's just asking for violence. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. Libertarianism is law enforcement's best friend, because a libertarian would not send law enforcement on these cases of victimless crimes. Like, for instance, with Joshua, how was that being a peace officer when Joshua was the picture of peace in his community? And they broke the peace that day, and they should be held accountable. This is what this is about. This is about protecting the public and the public servants that do their job, try their best to follow the Constitution, and it makes us all. Makes an environment for us to be less safe and less free, and that's unacceptable. But while I have this opportunity, and I'm ashamed that I didn't bring this up earlier, we've got to mention Pastor Moses of Faith, Hope, and Love Enrichment Ministries, because that's kind of like a double case we had going at the same time in Gastonia. I won't get into all that, but he's done a lot to help in this case too. And to help Joshua and people like him, and a shout out of love and respect.
Felt the backlash of the state for doing it.
We wouldn't be standing here today with the success we have had it not been for him and his ministry. So I just wanted to say that while I had the opportunity, and I appreciate you allowing me to do that.
Yeah, right, spot on, Thomas. And thank you to Pastor Moses if he's watching this. And not to bring that was kind of the other. Justice and compassion is kind of what we're fighting for with all of the rallies. But I just, as someone who saw this years ago and decided to kind of help draw attention to it, I feel very vindicated today, looking back at not only what we see in Joshua's case, but the broader situation of homelessness in the city of Gastonia. The very things that are in Joshua's lawsuit. Because Joshua's lawsuits, there's a lot of nuance, a lot of detail in there about not only what happened on October 13th, 2021, but the history of the city, which Spike did a wonderful job breaking down, going all the way back to the Eagle Squad. But you look at the things that have happened in Gastonia, and I'm just saying this as someone who lives here, right? This is where I live. I just bought a house earlier this week in Gaston County, so I mean, this is my home. But you saw that they pushed away Pastor Moses. You saw that they went to war with Joshua, as well as so many other people who didn't have housing security then. And fast forward to today, there are more homeless people in Gastonia. The problem is so much worse. And I feel vindicated almost, and I don't want to laugh about like the irony of it, but it's like, as a libertarian, here we had someone who was spending every day focusing on this thing that everyone wants to make as a political problem. They ran him off, and now fast forward a few years, okay, Moses is not sheltering people anymore. The city made sure of that. They made sure of that. I mean, not even I hate to cross those, but they're somewhat linked at this point. So to touch on it, but like, we raised money to get trailers, to add space, to bring substance addiction treatment and counseling. We tried to make a full service, one-stop shop to help with this problem because it was Pastor Moses's mission and passion. And what happened? The government fought tooth and nail to shut him down the same way they fought tooth and nail to shut down Joshua's attempts to get justice. They kept this war with the homeless going. And now it's almost become laughable because everybody is crying out because the problem keeps getting worse. And as a libertarian, I'm like, you took the one private party who was trying to fix it, wasn't using tax dollars, wasn't doing any of this. And was it perfect? Of course not. Of course not. Were there some fire code violations? Yes, it was like an 1800s church.
But people died of exposure the second they shut it. I mean,
yeah, I mean, oh, it's not safe. They made him move people because it's not safe to be in the, a not up to fire code building, yet it was somehow safe to go freeze in 19-degree weather outside. Like, I just look at this and I'm flabbergasted that they couldn't see it coming. Because to me, how this turned out as far as the broader homelessness issue in Gaston County, it was so predictable. It was just painfully obvious 3.5 years ago. If you're shutting down the Salvation Army and going after the one private pastor who's opening, like, the people exist. Like the people exist. What do you think's going to happen? You shut down the services. Do you think they're just going to Thanos snap into thin air?
And I mean, we could delve into the Pastor Moses situation. That's a whole separate podcast.
Whole other story.
Yeah. But it is, I mean, the violence of the state. I don't think they don't care. I think they're so caught up in, you have to follow my exact technicality, which is sort of the issue with government and bureaucracy. And so, Spike, I want to get a last word from you on this. It's been 4 years. You've had a ton of successes. You've probably learned a lot. I know you talk about sometimes getting some of these people to be your allies, always looking at the human cost. What have you learned in the last 4 years? And then for people who want to get involved, but it's daunting, they don't know where to start, how can people jump in?
Yeah, so I'll answer that second question first. If you join youarethepower.net, you can become a member, and you will be at the front lines, the tip of the spear, as they call it, of being involved with these types of causes. And what we do, in a nutshell, we find people like Joshua and many others in all sorts of different cases who are having their lives upended and their families torn apart, sometimes losing their homes, all sorts of terrible things because they got in front of the wrong bureaucrat or the wrong cop or the wrong mayor or city council member or whatever, and their lives are being completely uprooted because of it. We find these people, we tell their stories, we get other people involved to hold these people that are doing it to them accountable, and we win. For the last 2 years, we've been winning every single time. So if you want to be a part of that, you join youarethepower.net. And so to answer your first question of what was it, what I learned from this? I forgot your first question.
Yeah. What did you learn? How do we see some of the government people in that human light?
Yeah, I think again, the biggest takeaway I've learned here is what we've always kind of understood in theory, but it turns out in practice it actually works. These people are not the government, they're people. And there's more of us. And this isn't like, oh, we're going to run them down and beat them up. It's if enough of us go to them and say, you're doing the wrong thing here, and we insist we're going to consistently, respectfully, and with a desire for reconciliation, a preference for reconciliation, but regardless, we are consistently and persistently and insistently demanding that you do the right thing in whatever the case is. One of three things is bound to happen. They're either going to resign because they don't want to have to deal with us anymore. That's fine, we'll take it. They're going to back off and do the right thing just for political reasons. They don't want to have to deal with it anymore. And, they want to go, I had no idea it was this bad. And I'm so glad that we can work together. Fine, great. We'll take that as a win as well. They backed off and done the right thing. Sometimes what happens is the best thing of all. when they demonstrate actual repentance, they demonstrate an actual recognition that they did the wrong thing and a desire to join us. This happened in Georgia when Candace Brose, the head of the Division of Family and Children's Services, her agency was tearing children out of the hands of innocent people, innocent parents across the state, at scale. So it wasn't just individual cases, it was happening constantly. They were consistently accusing people of abuse wrongfully. She ended up becoming our best ally. She saw our content. She heard us constantly reaching out to her and saying, do the right thing here. And she contacted us privately and said, how can I be on the right side here? The department, the head of the Division of Human Services, who's above her, contacted us privately and said, I don't want to be the problem anymore. I want to be part of the solution. And then after we worked with them to make the changes necessary so that that's not happening anymore in Georgia, won't be happening moving forward, then they went public and announced that they did it. That shows me that they actually, did they become libertarians? Not necessarily, probably not, but did they recognize they did the wrong thing and that they wanted to do the right thing because we reached them and said, hey, let's do the right thing together here? Yeah, that's what happened. So my takeaway here is we treat people like people. We demand that they treat us like people. And if enough of us get together and do it, it happens every single time. We win.
Amen to that. So Joshua, I want to give you the last word. You're the one who's been through this journey. You're the reason we gathered. You have really gotten a lot of people energized and galvanized around you. Now we've gotten to this point where your case can go forward. What's next for you? And then if you could close with like a message of hope for someone in your situation.
Well, what's next for me is continuing to fight this case in court and see it through. And after that, I just hope that really, I don't know. It's such a big question for me because I just want to make sure that I see this through to the end and that the right people are held accountable and that they do the right thing. And that's why I continue to share my story. And a message of hope to other people is I know that I'm not the only one that this happens to. Like, this isn't just about me. This happens to so many people across the country, and they don't have a voice. And that's why I continue to share. And that's my message of hope. If you've experienced something like this, then just continue to share your story, fight for justice, and, be loud. Do not give up. And, that's all you can do. But like Spike, you are the power, and Rob and Mike and Joe and Dave, all of y'all, all of my friends, all of my supporters, just thank you for sharing my story, and thank you for continuing to believe in me and believe in this cause, and thank you for standing behind me, and I'm just forever grateful. And thank you.
It's our pleasure. It's been an honor and a privilege getting to work for you and beside all of you. Thank you all so much. We'll jump in and
I'm sorry. My other thing is the big thing is the body cam law. You said, what do I want to do after this? That slipped my mind. I would like to continue to pursue getting that changed, that body cam law changed, so it's not hard for people to access that, so that doesn't happen to anybody else. And not only the body cam law, but legislation for service animals and how they approach people with service animals and all of that. I didn't want to leave that out. I'm sorry.
That's good, and we're on it too. Thank you all so much. The LPNC will keep you updated as this progresses, and I don't know. Hopefully we'll be doing this again in not too long to celebrate a full victory.
And if I know you said you'd give Joshua the last word, I feel terrible. Sorry, Joshua. If you, because he mentioned people that are going through this, if you're going anything that's even remotely similar to what Joshua was put through, go to youarethepower.net/help and fill out our form. We've become way more sophisticated since we dealt with you, Joshua. You go to that page. And you fill out that information. You tell us as much as you can about it. Our team will get in contact with you, and if there's something we can do to help, we will. And like I said, we're winning left and right. We'd love to help you win.
And that's an awesome message. You are not alone.
Yes, it is.
Thank you all very much, and everyone listening, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Hey, good day, good evening, or good whatever time it is to y'all. It is another episode of, NC Sports with Dub and Groo on Liberty Inc. But with a couple of special guests, our beloved Rob Yates, along with his wife. And please introduce your wife to us, Mr. Rob.
Introduce yourself.
I'm the legend.
The legend is here, by the
I'm
way.
kidding.
The legend.
The legend. No, I do exist. My name's Valerie.
She was the one who wanted to record like this, so I'm making her be on camera.
Well, Mallory,
Much better setup.
welcome.
And we're here with Groo, and they've both been
Yes,
drinking
yeah,
a bit of
you're
bourbon.
here with Groo enjoying the bourbon, but here's the thing: there's been a lot of changes over the past few months with a lot of us, especially Mr. Groo. There, isn't that right, Mr. Groo?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
There's been a big change, especially with you, Mr. Groo. Isn't that right?
That is correct. Yes, I have moved from Wake County, where I was living for the past probably 12 years, 11 or 12 years. Now I live downtown Greensboro, which brings me to our first topic. So there's a new team that's been developed called the Greensboro Gargoyles, which is the ECHL team for the Carolina Hurricanes. And their first game is in October, and you can now buy tickets. So
Groo is standing in Washington Capitals bar. I'm wearing Washington Capitals shorts. I'm a Washington Capitals tattoo. There's Washington Capitals decorations, including our recent Stanley Cup banner hanging up right here. It's fantastic.
Dub, I'm in a bad spot.
Ovi broke the goal record this year. It was pretty awesome.
He has.
We saw him score against the Canes.
Washington Capital carpet. You can't see it, but.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You know what to do as a Canes fan. Just walk all over it.
That is
fine.
True.
That's fine. I'm enjoying our recent banner right there. You see the Caps stick there. We got a Winter Classic poster there.
Hey, all I can say is I'm not going to do a chant of it, but it's just 4 words I can say.
Look at this.
1-1 before you.
Look at this abomination right here.
And you won one a long time ago. Whatever. That's like the Cowboys talking about their Super Bowls.
And what's wrong with that? I'm a Cowboys fan.
But here's the irony about that. We have both won our respective hockey championships sooner than the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl.
Well, they haven't won a Super Bowl since, I don't think I was born.
So when was the last time the Redskins got a Super Bowl win?
I'm not saying
I'm saying zero.
I'm not saying we're not a good team either.
Zero?
We at least have Jade and Dave. You all got Micah Parsons trend.
Fair.
Did you see that, Dum?
Well, I just said Washington was 26. Super Bowl 26.
Yeah, we haven't won since 91.
The Redskins or the Commanders?
It's the Redskins.
I just said Washington. I did not specify either one of the three names they
Can't
have.
discriminate against Washington.
It's the Redskins. It's the Redskins.
He says it's the Redskins. He's the fan, so
It's
we'll go with the
stupid.
Redskins.
Everyone in DC says the Redskins. All the people outside of DC care. Washington, the guy that started the name, was the first coach of the Redskins, and he was a Native American, and he created the name and the logo to honor his tribe. Redskins refers to red war paint that the Delaware tribe wore. It has nothing to do with skin color. On the other hand, the state of Oklahoma actually means red man. But like, we don't care about real stuff. It's just, how does it make you feel? It's ridiculous. They're the Redskins.
Now, what I know about the franchise is that they were originally the Boston Braves, named after the baseball team. And then they were changed in the late 30s to the Boston Redskins. And then they were moved from Boston to Washington. You know,
The order of operations is right. I don't know if they changed the name before or after moving from Boston. It's all close in there.
Yeah,
one of the things that
30.
I thought was crazy is their owner in the 50s was the last football team to integrate. So there's a bunch of pictures of signs of people saying keep the Redskins white from the 1950s. And I don't know, to me, it's very hard to hold that sign with like no sense of irony.
Yeah, and this was, you know, during that same time that you know, when they built the Pentagon, you know, they built the Pentagon in Virginia because it has double the normal bathrooms of any other government office built during that time period, simply because it was built under segregation, because they built men and women white, men and women black, you know, or in those days colored, but you know, that got shot down, of course, because, you know, Truman said there is no segregation in the government. So
no, when we're blowing up kids on the other side of the planet, we goddamn better not be racist about it.
Yeah.
So I have a question for Valerie. Actually,
you gonna ask her about Micah Parsons?
No.
Oh.
No. I'm kind of curious to know what your favorite teams are in general.
In general?
So am I.
Yeah. Do you like the Redskins or the Cowboys?
So I'm not a super fan of the length of the hockey season.
This is what happens.
That's
she
the
comes
issue.
into the living room one day.
I want to hear her
And
perspective.
there's football on, and she goes,
I
football
like
season started,
live sports.
and then a couple
Okay.
months later, hockey's on the TV, and she comes in, and I get, hockey season started. Now I won't see you until the spring.
Here's the thing.
Is
like,
that fair?
Kind of. But I mean, I enjoy sports live, but I don't enjoy sports on TV. Just like I would rather play video games than watch someone else play video games.
That is absolutely fair.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a team,
I can't
though?
stop
No
watching
team.
sports. I'm an addict.
Not really.
She doesn't have a team, folks.
I mean, now if
She's
you would ask me
Now-
neutral.
Now I have a question for
Started dating?
Mallory. Well, anyway, the question is, where were you born and raised?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Nebraska. So I'm super anti-Cornhusker. And I went to UNL for a year. And it was the worst experience of my life. And it's not a sport, it's a religion. And I think that's why I'm anti-sports.
Oh, because that's the only thing out there in Lincoln,
Yeah.
Nebraska.
No,
is
Dub.
that football
That is
team.
the
Only thing.
There's that
Cow tipping
and corn.
and cow tipping, which is pretty
Just
fun.
And tornadoes.
Tomatoes, yeah.
and snow sometimes. If you can imagine being on a boat and just driving through the open ocean for hours, except the ocean is corn and you're in a car, that's Nebraska.
Yeah.
I went, when we first started dating, I went to visit. She wasn't even 21 yet. and we were with their parents, and we were sharing a hotel room. This is the whole thing. So we had a minivan, and we were going to go hang out in the hotel room with their parents. So I went to get alcohol that we were going to drink in the van. And when I was buying the beer at the counter, the guy saw my ID and he was like, "Oh, you in town for the Nebraska game?" And I was like, "Actually,
You didn't
yeah."
say Nebraska. You said game.
Yeah, the game,
By
of
the way.
course,
Yeah,
of course.
There's
For the
no
game.
other game. There's no other game.
And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And he's like, "Oh, go Big Red, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's like my first college football game, actually. Like, I'm just kind of excited to check it out." And his demeanor changed. Like, "Oh, you're not a fan. Here's your change, sir." I was like, "What the hell just happened?" And she's like, "Don't tell people you don't like Nebraska. Like, what are you doing?"
I mean, that's not hospitality there.
No.
No, they don't claim
So
hospitality.
you knew you weren't in the South anymore.
It was the Midwest. We share some similarities, but we are not the same. There's no pride in like
No,
being a good neighbor. It's a very suspicious place.
There is something I know of the Midwest, but it's also in the South. When I heard about this, I was like, Southerners do it too, and I think they do it worse.
Yeah, I would
there's
say
something called
UNC does it.
Well, I'm saying this. It's called the Midwest goodbye. Where you can say goodbye to somebody, but you still talk to them for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You're basically saying, well, I got to go, and that and the other, and you're trying to leave out the door. Oh, how's, by the way, your brother doing? Oh, him. Well, he did this and that and this and that and this. And you won't believe what his wife said. And then it's a whole nother conversation. And then it goes on and on. All right, I've really got to go now. And then in the South, it's always followed with, well, here, take some tea with you, or here, have another piece of pie. You loved it so much, and it's like you just can't leave when you say you're gonna leave. And it's so similar.
I think that's fair.
I think that's similar, but I think it's also one reason why I left that area, because when I left, I was gone.
That's true too.
Yeah. And I'm sure, growing up around corn, that's probably the last thing you probably want to eat during the summer, because I know where I'm at, it's like when somebody grows corn and they sell it, you want to get you some fresh ears and make, either save some corn on the cob or take some off and make cream corn out of it. And it's like you have enough and that's it. And it's not an everyday religious thing, It's just a fun side dish every once in a while.
There's actually, in this house, there's a fair bit of controversy on the best way to cook corn. I like it on the grill. The family likes it boiled or steamed.
Grilled corn is the most, it's just disgusting.
It's so good if you do it right and caramelize the sugar in there.
Have you ever had grilled corn, or do you?
Oh, yeah. Well, another way to do it is wrap it in tinfoil and put it on a fire.
Yeah, I've had that too, but I still
That's
think
pretty good.
the boiled keeps the juice.
Yeah, I think my favorite is boiled with a lot of butter.
There you go.
I like it on the flame.
Midwestern
now,
like clips too.
Yeah.
You clip them in, you don't even have to hold.
Oh, the corn clips. Yeah, you just spin it.
Yep.
And eat it, and it gets stuck
Usually
all in your teeth. Oh yeah, that's the best way. Where you're like, hey, buddy, you've got corn like all in your teeth, and you don't realize it, and everybody's like, dude, you got something in your teeth, bro. You're like, oh, dude, and it takes you an hour to get that junk out of your teeth. I mean, it's
so.
You can't eat it with
I've got a confession.
Cut it off the cob. That's the best way, actually. Freshly cut off the cob with your pocket knife.
And this is my confession. I unfortunately was one of those kids who grew up and got braces on their teeth. Yeah. And in so doing, I couldn't for about 2 years eat corn on the cob.
Where else would you get braces?
And the thing is, because of that, I felt quote out of love with corn on the cob, and I will only eat it off. It just doesn't excite me like it
a little bougie
did. You know, it's not
talking about cutting corn off the cob with your pocket knife. Okay, so any libertarian gathering that I've been to, like you can say, "Hey, can I get a knife?"
Oh
And
wait,
no. Like
oh wait, I got one.
I'm sitting over there.
I
got one, guys. Ask and you shall receive.
We were
No.
We're setting up a convention, and she was out with the audio visual, and she goes, "Hey, do you know where there's a knife?" And I just like, watch this. Who's got a knife? 14 knives.
20 knives right up in the air.
Oh, you need one? The whole room stopped.
Got one.
And they're so happy to provide.
It was like the American Psycho scene where they're comparing business cards, but it's like, oh, damn, is that an ivory handle? Like, check this one out.
How big is yours? Oh,
that was just your
coalition knife.
No, I sharpen my knives on a regularly, man. Trust me.
I don't know why. I don't know why, but I just got the thought in my head of the Simpsons spoof of Crocodile Dundee. You call that a knife? That's not a knife. That's a spoon. I see you play knifey spoony before.
Oh man, so back to sports.
Yes.
Valerie's from Nebraska. That's why she doesn't like sports. She lived in Chicago for a while. I saw the Redskins beat the Bears in Chicago, and the people there were pretty.
Oh, well, I didn't know if she took up, loving the lovable Cubs.
So I actually my parents and my brothers are Cub fans. So that means naturally I'm a White Sox fan. Just to add fuel to the fire.
The contrarian of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, baseball, I find baseball even in person to be super boring. Like, if you're a baseball fan and you watch, 125 games a season on TV?
Mad respect.
I don't actually believe it likes baseball. I think it's all pretend.
No, they do.
The best thing about baseball is the 7th inning stretch where you actually get to listen to some music for a little while.
But you sing along to the music.
I don't know, man. I used to collect baseball cards.
Sure, so did I. I still couldn't watch.
And kept up with sports. I like to watch Nolan Ryan. I could watch a Nolan Ryan game every day.
I could.
Master.
Friends would go, and I just wandered the whole time. I can't watch baseball.
You know, it's
minor league games.
Golf.
Wander, but
terrible.
I love it.
See, you like golf, but dude, you don't like baseball, but you watch golf.
No. Watch golf.
Golf is hard to watch, and it's hard to play. I have mad respect because it's.
I mean, look,
very
when
difficult.
I say I watch golf, I watch Sunday the majors, and if there's an interesting tournament going on, I'll turn it on. I do play golf. I don't.
I'll watch for 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I've seen
watching
it all.
baseball for 10 minutes.
Yo.
I'd rather have a root canal.
I like tennis. Do you like watching tennis?
Something. It's okay.
Tennis is good.
My problem with tennis is the scoring.
What about beach volleyball?
15, 30,
Women's
45,
beach volleyball. I know you watch women's beach volleyball. Your wife won't let you.
No, she wouldn't care. She'd probably laugh at me, but it's so boring. I need high action for my sports. I like hockey. I need people going 40 miles an hour on ice.
I don't think you would like sports unless it was DC related. When we moved here, I thought that you weren't super into certain sports, and I thought that maybe you would switch teams for that particular sport, but it hasn't happened.
Well, we had a deal when I moved. In fact, I had to pick one North Carolina team, one sport, where if the North Carolina team did better than the Washington team, I would trade.
But that's always.
So we chose basketball that year. And the Wizards won 8 games. But the Hornets, and they might not have been the Hornets then. I don't remember which team they were at that point.
They
won 5 games.
Maybe Duke?
No, I hate college sports.
Oh.
I like wrestling, but I hate all other college sports.
Did you hear that, Dub? He hates college sports.
Well, you can't win them all.
Look, I get why people like college sports. Go for it. I'm not anti-college sport. I just my time is limited as it is, and I spend a lot of time with sports. I want to watch the best of the best do their thing. That's all.
Fair.
That's why I don't watch basketball, because
You just go where the
Wizards
money
Trust.
is.
I do.
Yeah.
Capital.
So my question for you, Dub, is concerning the Carolina Panthers. How do you feel we're making out this year, man?
Well, y'all be happy to know I put a $5 bet on plus 1,200 that they'll win the South.
Wow. $5.
The South is pretty bad.
Listen. I'm part of the $5 club. I don't like betting big on anything, but I will. But my mantra is I will never bet against my team. I will always bet for them.
Good.
Even in a loss, I will always bet for my team to cover. Do you understand?
I do, and that's why I love you.
You know? But I did make a lot of money last year on the Hurricanes because they won a lot, and I got a lot of money off the money line, so I'll keep it at that.
I haven't done straight betting in North Carolina. I've been doing DraftKings for so long, I just stuck with it.
Oh, you're fantasy.
Yeah, because I've always played fantasy, so I'm a degenerate gambler. So when I could start gambling on fantasy a few years ago, believe it or not, she came to me and she was like, "Why don't you ever put money on that? Like you do this all the time." And my eyes lit up. Like, wait, you're encouraging me to gamble?
But I really like I don't know if you consider it a sport, but horse racing.
Horse racing is
That's
awesome.
a sport I can get down with, if it's considered a sport.
You ever been
I
to
don't
races, Dub?
understand. I don't. Well, yeah, I would love to. I mean, up in New York, they're all over the place. But I mean, I wish North Carolina would legalize horse racing bets so we could bet on the big three, you know, and the Preakness.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know it was.
Yeah, that's one of the few sports that hasn't been regulated yet because A, North Carolina does not have any racetracks.
Because the government wants to control your life. That's why.
But isn't there
And B, you know, their law is written in such a stupid way. A racetrack would have to be sponsored by one of the betting sites, you know.
So we used to go to the races all the time in Hong Kong. They had a Wednesday night one in Wan Chai and the Saturday night one in the New Territories. And it's huge. It is big business. And there was actually an incredible, crazy article. Maybe the Atlantic. I don't know. I'll post the link. But about 10 years ago, about a guy who invented an analytics system to gamble on the races in Hong Kong and ended up making like $1.8 billion just gambling on the races for 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. My thing is, so Hong Kong's horse races, they are similar to the British ones. They're on turf, correct? They're not dirt tracks.
No, Wan Chai is definitely dirt, right?
I don't know.
New Territories isn't, I don't think. I think it's dirt.
Because I know Britain's known for turf racing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I believe you. We went all the time.
So drunk.
Yeah, we weren't sober. Like the beer came out of the tap, and it was like a well-known fact that they spiked the beer. But like, no, you don't complain. You get more alcohol for cheaper, you know. So you're drinking beer that's probably 3 times as strong as it's supposed to be. You start sharing a few pictures with the group because they want you. I mean, you're making ridiculous bets. Like I'm gambling every race. I have no idea who the horses are. Just like, oh, this sounds like a fun name. But then you win some random time and it pays out like 30 to 1. And then you're like, I gotta do it again. Now I want to go gambling. Thanks, all of you.
Now we're heading up to Danville.
Yeah, come to the casino.
Have you been up there yet?
I haven't been to the casino, but the only reason I'd probably go in there is not to gamble, but probably just to eat at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant.
Gordon Ramsay's. I went up there one time and ate at the Thai restaurant they have there, and I was very underwhelmed. It wasn't great.
Well, remember, you're not there in a casino to really enjoy the food. You're
Yeah,
there
but you're supposed to have good food when it
gamble your
costs that
money
much
away.
money. It was not great.
That
I
is
don't like
also
wasting time eating when I'm gambling.
true.
But the Gordon Ramsay place, called Ramsay's Kitchen, right?
Yeah,
Is the
I
name of
mean,
the
the one
restaurant
thing
Ramsay's Kitchen?
I want to try his beef Wellington because I've always heard so many good things about it. That's the only reason I want to go up there.
Oh, you haven't been yet.
I have
You're not that far
been
from
yet.
there, buddy.
No, but can I tell you some interesting facts about the differences between North Carolina and Virginia when it comes to gambling?
Sure.
So in North Carolina, if you
As anticlimactic.
I don't know what you said.
It looks like a DJ right now, like dropping.
You're like, yo, listen up. Let me tell you about North Carolina versus Virginia.
North Carolina.
All right, back.
So
we lost you right at the difference. Oh, he's frozen again.
He's like, yo, bros.
North Carolina and Virginia being different.
I was worried we might have some.
And you're at the lottery machine. You have to scan your ID or your driver's license in order to use
we
it
lost
to know
you.
that you're. Again?
Yeah, can you start the differences over? We were pretty funny, but I'll probably cut it. We'll see.
No cuts.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. So anyway, the differences between Virginia and North Carolina when it comes to gambling. This is one of them. So in North Carolina, you can go to Walmart or a grocery store or a gas station or wherever, and if they have one of those lottery ticket machines, you have to scan your license or your ID in the machine to let the machine know you're 18 years old and can legally use the machine. However, that is not the case in Virginia. It is completely on the honor system. You go up there and you insert your card or insert money, and bing, pick your ticket. Easy as pie.
Have you ever seen one of those?
I've never seen one of those.
Yeah, no, the only when in Virginia, I've only seen where you can purchase from like a gas station and you go up to the man and you say like, I want number 3 and number 5.
Right. Those are the rolls. Yeah. But
yeah. But I've never seen the machines in Virginia. But
like,
you
go into a grocery store.
Grocery store.
Yeah, you go into a grocery store.
Yeah. But I haven't seen the ones in Virginia yet.
That's too much freedom. I don't know what to do with that much freedom. It's too progressive.
Come to the desk and ask me a question and go, so where do you put your license at? To let them know you can use the machine. I said, oh, you don't have to use your license here. If you're old enough, we go by the honor system. You can just use the machine. And they're sort of shocked that they don't have to use their license to use the lottery machine.
See, it sounds
really random.
It sounds like a good thing. But the problem is if you're not 18 and they find out, then you're going to have to face, they're not going to give you money. Like, there'll be no payout.
Oh, yeah. They'll
what if
pull
you
the
won
machine
like $1
from the
million?
store,
Exactly. It's the payout the age restriction in the first place that's sort of a problem.
Yeah.
You don't want a
18 years
5-year-old pushing buttons, though.
If he's on behalf of his parents and he gets a dollar from him, like.
No, I agree.
It's not the government's.
Your parents get the money.
But your parents should restrict or allow you to use the machine.
Exactly.
When I was in Italy, I saw 9.
Hey, little Johnny, go put this.
Whenever you saw them, they would take the bottle of beer and take it back to their
Sure,
parents.
of course.
It wasn't like they were like popping it open and having fun on the street.
You just give Johnny $5 and let him go gamble.
Yeah.
You know? Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in a lull of sports. This is the sports lull right now. How are you handling this?
Well, I'm going to handle it by trying to convince the Tampa Rays to just stop worrying about rebuilding your stadium in Tampa just move up here by where your AAA team is in Durham, build a stadium in Raleigh. You can make it a retractable stadium. The land is cheaper. The taxes are cheaper. You know, even though we have state tax, we have a better climate than Florida.
No.
So
there's a few.
I'm not talking about
So are they talking about that?
no, they're not. I'm just trying to start something.
Okay. Good idea, though. Why don't you call them and tell them to do that? They would
Well,
listen.
I wish I had the power to do that.
You do. You do.
But see, that was, you know, that was one of our pet projects of, I guess, our now ex-governor and prospective Senate hopeful.
Oh, he was working on that?
I'm trying to keep this a happy podcast. I don't want to talk about that idiot.
Yeah, but don't worry, I'm not voting for the guy. So,
well, hopefully
you know,
we'll have an announcement coming next week.
Yeah,
Isn't
I hope
baseball
so.
still going on right now, though? Like,
yes, it is. They just
I
got done with
recently
the
went to a
All-Star
baseball game, which is kind of random. But I thought it went like pretty much year round. So isn't that give you all a sport to watch? Or you're not you're not committed. Like the Kannapolis Cannonballers.
The Kannapolis Cannonballers.
Yeah, I checked them out a couple weeks ago. It was like 4th of July. I more went for the fireworks.
I live in Greensboro, and I haven't even gone to a Greensboro Grasshoppers game yet.
Or to the Winston-Salem
Y'all want to go
Dash.
to a Grasshoppers game?
Is it 4th of July?
No one does.
Is it 4th of July?
I'm going to go to the hockey game.
You'll go to a Gargoyles game?
Yeah, I love hockey.
Gargoyles.
Would you go to a Gargoyles game with us?
That would be awesome.
Gargoyles are a win. Would you go to a Gargoyles
Do they
game?
play the checkers?
The
Charlotte
Checkers?
Checkers?
CHL, right?
No, that's a different league.
Why are there so many
That's a
different leagues?
Well, hockey's like baseball. It has a double A, a triple A.
Trust me and shake your head.
You have like,
Yeah.
it's equivalent to like there's
Jesus
single A,
Christ.
double A, and triple A, but
She's
they're
not
not,
paying any attention.
but they're not called that. It's what, ACHL, ECHL.
Greensboro and Charlotte are similar sized cities, so shouldn't they have this like?
Charlotte's way bigger.
But
Charlotte,
I mean,
well, Charlotte is the biggest city in North Carolina, but Raleigh has the major league teams.
Kannapolis.
Go figure that one out.
Raleigh and Charlotte are compatible, but Greensboro's
Greensboro and Kannapolis.
bigger. Yeah.
These two have been drinking.
But
No, we haven't.
it doesn't. But see, here's the thing: y'all don't remember this because I'm not sure how y'all. None of y'all were living in North Carolina when I was living in North Carolina in the late '90s, when the Twins almost moved to North Carolina.
I
They
used to be a
would-
Minnesota Twins fan when I was little.
But
Yeah.
Well,
they
we just
almost
learned
moved-
something new, guys.
They almost
about
moved
Valerie.
here.
Yeah.
She was
They
a
almost-
Minnesota Twins fan.
They almost moved here though, but they would have played, believe it or not, in Kernersville, North Carolina.
As a professional team?
They were going to build the stadium in Kernersville, and Kernersville voted it down. That's why they never came. If they had
asking for
voted
public money?
yes,
Yeah,
it would have been like a 3-cent tax. And they voted
Good for
it
Kernersville.
down.
Oh yeah, Kernersville.
They
Charlotte
voted it
just
down.
gave a billionaire like $280 million after giving another billionaire $30 million to build a tennis facility and then upgrade a stadium. And they're upping our taxes. I'm running for mayor to a large extent on this issue.
Again.
We got a
Separate
candidate
years
for
of
mayor on
living.
here, folks.
Time.
So it's just the tennis facility.
I know. But
Now we
isn't it
got
the same thing?
more incentive,
Ugh.
folks.
Government's like dysfunction doesn't change.
But is it the same tennis facility or is it a new one at least?
Well, it's the money
Like-
for the Bank of America Stadium too.
Is that the expansion for the Panthers? They're going to do that?
Yeah, we're
Well,
giving
part of this is
million.
why the
What happened to
Panthers
all
are-
the money that was supposed to go to South Carolina, down in what was it, New Hill?
Oh, that deal was contingent on Rock Hill welching on Tepper, and Tepper pulled the project.
How much money went into that never went through?
It was like $250 million, and then they just said nope, and they raised the site a few months ago.
$200 million.
What would you do for $200 million?
Not start a sports field.
You heard it right here, folks.
So, Dub, what do you think Parsons gets?
Where Parsons? Oh, because he asked for the trade.
I mean, he did more than ask for a trade. He posted, "I'm done with Dallas, thank you, but I'll never work for a team this dysfunctional again."
Woohoo! Okay, yeah, that's pretty much saying it. Well, Dallas has got to get something for him, but as senile as Jerry Jones is, he'll get back like a 7th round pick. You know, I mean, we fleeced Jerry Jones for a 5th round pick for one of our bad receivers. The Panthers did. So I'm just gonna. That's why I said what I said.
I mean, I tend to agree, and they lack leverage. Everyone knows he wants to go, but he's one of the best players in the NFL right now. I mean, that is a
so they're not going to trade him to Kansas City. They're not going to trade him to, a legacy franchise. They're not going to trade him to Philadelphia, a divisional rival. So, I don't know what. And then see, the Panthers have already been bitten once or twice by trading too much for too little. I don't think this is going to be them. I think a silly team like Atlanta or New Orleans would try to mortgage their future for what they could have today to win a division that doesn't need winning.
But I mean, I kind of
lose in the first round.
I don't think it's going to be like a king's ransom for him. I think the Cowboys are going to do something stupid.
Well, yeah, they're going to trade him for peanuts.
I mean, like a 1st rounder and a player for Micah Parsons, that's not much.
No, but then you're banking on Dallas to do poorly so that you have a top 10 pick, for free. As well,
Dallas is banking on the other team to do poorly.
Well, I don't know who they would trade. Well, yeah, Dallas would get the 1st round, so they're banking on the team to do poorly. But if Michael Parsons turns them into Super Bowl contenders, you're picking in the low 20s, just like
it's not even
you would have been.
But Jerry Jones makes terrible deals.
Oh yeah, because he's senile. He won't turn the team over to Steven, his son, who is not senile. So
no idea.
You guys, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
Getting offended over here.
Why? You're surrounded by.
You guys are making fun of me.
What do you think of Jerry Jones?
Actually, he's too involved. But that's all I'll say.
I feel your pain. We had Dan Snyder for like 22 years.
He just needs to go sit up in the booth way up there and not have any contact with anybody. But he doesn't know how to do that.
The greatest Jerry Jones moment is the 1993 Thanksgiving game with Miami, where it was sleeting on the field and they blocked the field goal. And Jerry Jones is on the sideline, and Leon makes his stupid error of touching the ball because it passed the line of scrimmage, and Miami got the re-kick, and the game is over, and Miami wins and beats Dallas in Dallas, and it was just funny.
If Jerry Jones could, he would play for the Dallas Cowboys.
For sure.
He would be quarterback.
And look, like, he's done amazing things.
And believe me, I bet he tries out every season.
He's not been a good general manager for 30 years. I empathize.
But he doesn't have to be, because
we had Dan
if
Snyder for
the
20.
Cowboys did 1-16 for 5 years in a row, they would still sell out every game.
Yeah, but I think he
That's
loves
just
him.
how the
I think
Cowboys
he
are.
wants to win. I think he loves.
I
the
think he
team.
does too, but
But he's
he's
terrified.
got so much money that it doesn't matter.
We had Dan Snyder for 20 years. I think we won one playoff game in that 20 years. 1 year he's gone. We make it to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, you win 3 games in 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching them since
'cause you won the
Michael Irvin,
wild
Troy
card
Aikman,
and the
and
division.
Emmitt Smith, which is when it was good.
And don't forget the person
Real
that always
good.
gets overlooked. The person that always gets overlooked on those Dallas Cowboys teams, and you can't discount them, is Jay Novacek, the tight end.
Oh, he was good.
So I just Googled Jerry Jones.
Everybody forgets about the tight end.
Hold on, we got some update. We got
Great. Okay, so I finally
breaking news.
I
Breaking
out.
news. Hold
And
on.
now I know.
Breaking
Jerry
news.
Jones is. Do you know he's 82 years old, which is the same age that Joe Biden is? So like, they like.
Are they going to Epstein Island?
I mean, I don't know. They're both 82.
Jerry Jones can form a sentence.
I've
No,
never,
I mean you can see him on interview.
I've never watched his
He's just a-
interviews.
It's not a
Just
good
wondering, like,
sentence,
how do
but
they
he can
compare?
form a sentence.
Dan Biden can't. Biden gave out some award this week and like wandered off stage again. He's completely senile. And we just let him run the country.
I mean,
which should be shocking, but what it proves
mean,
is that
he
it doesn't matter. Like
This switched quickly.
Sorry.
Well, yeah.
I saw the age and I was like, oh, affection.
Do you think Jerry Jones and Joe Biden are friends?
Gotta be. How many 82-year-olds are there left in like public eye?
Not many.
There you go. They've got
I'm
some
sure they
friends.
know each other.
I bet him and Trump are tight.
Yeah, I can see that.
Jerry Jones?
Yeah. They're both
How
control
old is Trump?
freaks.
He 82 as well.
Well, they're both control freaks. So they're both type A narcissists. So they're probably
Does
buddies.
it concern anybody else that for the last 3 elections, we've elected the oldest person to ever been elected in American history?
Yeah.
Barbara Boxer voted for things on the floor, dead. Like,
well, that makes sense.
Like she was wheeled out in a wheelchair as an invalid, somehow cast a vote, wheeled back, and then 3 days later she was actually pronounced dead.
Wow.
Yeah, like Mitch McConnell has
Did her vote
regular, and Mitch McConnell just freezes, like he's talking, and
Are you sure it's like not Zoom freezing?
because everybody else is like, "Are you okay, sir?" He's like,
Oh,
"No."
it's like in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, why do we even pretend we have a serious government?
It makes us feel good. Okay.
No one pays attention. All they do is yell at the other side. That's true, but it's the Republicans' fault. That's true, but it's the Democrats' fault. Blame Trump, blame Biden. Like, no, you all do the same thing. You just get mad when the other side does it. It's talking to Republicans. Like, I will happily bash Biden and the Democrats, and they get all into it, and then they're like Trump, and I'm like, I'm glad you brought that up. Like,
I mean, I think he's at least like a funny president.
He is funny.
Not
By
that,
far.
not that Biden's
He
not
is
funny.
funny. I
But-
agreed with somebody the other day. They were saying he's the best president of all time, and I go, he's the funniest president of all time.
without a doubt.
No, I think
best.
Biden was
I'd
pretty
go with
funny.
George Washington. After that,
Biden was pretty funny too, though. You know, I mean,
Biden-
he like
but
rode
not
his bike and
intentionally.
fell off.
Yeah,
Funny,
he
but-
laughed at him.
he didn't have a sense of humor.
Yeah, Trump
He
should
was
have been a stand-up
It's just
comedian.
laugh at him.
Trump is he's an entertainer,
Yeah.
and he's good at it. I'll give you that. He's good at it. And he likes to entertain. There's no one more polarizing than Trump. No one. And he's funny about it.
All right. We're reaching like maximum useful time. So let's get Dub for the Carolina people's sakes. Quick prediction. What's the Panthers' record this year?
0-0.
Well, personally, I'm looking for improvement, and I would say 8-9, 9-8 is fair.
All right.
Because the thing is now, this is my hope. Now, it's not going to happen this year. But with their last two draft picks, both tall, lengthy wide receivers, I'm wondering if they are trying to start a new generation of two number ones on either side. Sort of like what they had in the Muhammad Smith era with two number ones on either side. You can't cover them both. If you do double go, somebody's going to be open.
Yeah, stretch the field or open up the box.
So, I mean,
8,
we'll
9,
see.
9, and 8.
I mean, both will show improvement. It's more than 5, which is the goal every year, seeing that we seem to be getting mired in 5 and 12 or 5 and 11. And, you know, there were 3 years in a row we were 5 and 11, and then we finally bottomed out when we had to at, you know, 2 and 15. And then, you know, last year, 5 and 13. And it's like, okay, let's go up 3 more. And then 3 more, you know, 3 more will be 11 and 6.
You might be
which is a
optimistic.
decent record.
The last question, this is an important one. Dub and Travis. One more prediction. What will the Greensboro Gargoyles record be this year?
To be honest, I don't know how many games they play.
I have no idea. I was trying to think, do I know how many games CHL?
Can you Google that real quick, Dub?
They say, yeah, well, hold on. Let me see. I don't know if this thing will stay
They don't
connected
play
while I do that, but I hope so.
8 games. 82. Or 82 games. They don't play 82 games.
They play 72.
No, I think there's some
72.
somewhere in the
Okay.
36 at home, 36 on the road.
Okay.
What's your predictions?
Okay, I say probably, I would say, you know, as the ECHL goes, I'd probably say,
I'm going to give them 60-12.
Really?
Yeah.
12 losses or 12 wins?
No, I'm not as
Losses.
big.
Oh, wow.
They're an
They
opening
might tie a
team
few.
of,
I'm going 30.
well, see,
35
I'm
and
gonna
7.
say, I would say 30, 20, and 12.
Okay.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Only
30, 20, and
62. What's
12.
the-
That would
where's
give
the other
them
10 games there,
70, but that
Dub?
would give them 72 points.
You missed 10 games.
30, 20. I did miss 10 games, didn't I? Okay.
10 more wins, 40. Give them
35,
40.
35,
They're
25,
going in
25, and
strong,
12.
man. Telling you. They're going to break some records.
Oh my gosh. All right. I can't believe I'm going to broadcast this, but I'm definitely putting it up. Everyone watching, thank you, North Carolina. Stay free, Dub. A pleasure. Valerie, thank you for participating in the thing that I get yelled at the most for.
Thank you, everybody.